Hey y'all, welcome to the Hot Rod Dad channel. Glad you came. Hope you stay. Like, subscribe, comment, share, etc., etc. It's a brand new year, so happy New Year's, y'all. My grandma used to always say that whatever you do on New Year's Day is what you're going to do all year. So first thing I wanted to do is get out here in the shop after a holiday hiatus away from my projects and get some time in the shop, work on the steering on the BLT. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. Secondly, I'm going to edit this video for y'all. And then there's some things around the house I want to work on today. So this will probably be a little bit of a short video. And then I'm going to hit the treadmill, believe it or not. I'm going to try to get back in my exercise routine, lose some of that holiday poundage that I put on with all the eating and snacking through the holidays. So y'all follow along as I get started mounting the steering box on the BLT. Okay, so there's basically three kinds of steering setups I could use on this build. Number one would be a side steer setup with a Corvair box, or a reversed Corvair box, mounted in about this general location right here. The steering column, steering shaft would come into it this way. It'd go through the steering box to a pitman arm, and it would hang down like this, and it would work back and forth this direction. And you'd have a link coming from your spindle right here from a steering hoop that you would add on to this spindle, and it would attach about right in here, and that link would go back and forth this direction. Those Corvair boxes new are, about $400 or $500. I think Flamin' River has one that's, like $600. So they're a little bit expensive. And finding an original one is just about unheard of nowadays. So that one is going to be kind of an expensive ordeal. So secondly, I could do a cowl steering setup on this car where the steering box exited the cowl about right in here, and you have a pitman arm that hangs down low, and then you have a link again that travels this way, and it's another form of side steer, and it's essentially set up the same way as the reversed Corvair box. But it is very expensive, time consuming, and labor intensive because you have to build a lot of infrastructure inside that cowl to accommodate that setup. So that one was never really on the table for me. Thirdly, I think a Vega steering box might work for this build. And that's kind of become the industry standard in anything newer than a T-bucket. From Model A's on up to the mid-30s street rods, and anything with a straight axle, basically. It would mount right here, well, about right in here, and you'd have a pitman arm that travels forward, and then it would work back and forth this way. This is a cross steer setup. You'd have a link from that pitman arm to that spindle over there. And as it controls the direction of that spindle, you have another link that comes back in parallel with the other link that I mentioned, and it would attach to this spindle, and it would control the movement of it through the secondary link. So that's basically the three setups I could use here. There's other guys that more traditional hot rods that uses F1 steering boxes and, different things like that. I happen to have a Vega steering box. I've got a couple of them left over from back in the day. So I think I'm going to give it a try and see if it will work with this setup. Won't cost anything to try. And, I can save a few bucks right there. So y'all stay tuned and we'll check it out. So here is an original Vega steering box. These are getting extremely hard to find because they're so popular in hot rodding and street rodding. But I've had this one for years. I just dug it out of my part stash. So I'll be attempting to use this. I'm not sure that a Vega Box is going to be the ideal setup for my situation right here, but I've got it, and so I'm going to give it a try. It's not going to cost me anything. I initially intended to use a side steer on this car, but after looking at it, I think I may be able to use the Vega. So the first thing I'm going to do is clean it up real good. I'm going to take this pitman arm off because two reasons. First, because it's exactly 180 degrees out from the position that I would need it in. And secondly, I think that it's going to have too much drop on it. Also, it's going to make it just a little bit easier to maneuver in the frame. Like I said, I'm going to clean this up real good. The second thing I'm going to do to it is I'm going to drill these holes out. These were originally 7/16 bolts from the factory, and the application requires that this box mounts straight to the frame rail. This one will be above the frame rail. I could bolt it from this side, but these two I certainly can't. So it's going to require that the bolts come through from this direction, and that's typical for most hot rod and street rod applications. So I'm going to drill that out so that just this 7/16 bolt can pass through from that side. The first thing I'm going to do to build this Vega steering box mount is start out by making 3 spacers right here out of 3/8 inch steel. This is just a piece of scrap I had in the scrap pile, and I've started each of the 3 right here, and they are in different stages of completion. So I wanted to be able to kind of demonstrate the steps I take and to cut these out and show you the natural progression right here. So I started out like this right here with a really good hole saw. This is not your average Joe homeowner residential grade hole saw. This is a real high quality hole saw made for electricians. This is not one you're going to find at Lowe's or Home Depot. This is one that you're going to find at the electrical supply or online. You can order them, but this is a real high quality hole saw. I've had it probably over 15 years, probably closer to 20. Drilled a whole lot of holes and still cuts like a champ. So you want to start out with a real good hole saw, first of all. And this is the first step right here. You drill it partially through the metal. You can see right there, it's not all the way through yet. And then I started this one, and I drilled partially through and went to the other side and drilled partially through. And then this is the final step. After you drill all 3 holes on both sides, part of the way through the metal, then I drilled and tapped the final one right there. I've already done it to a 7/16 bolt that I'm going to use to hold my Vega box onto my bracket. And probably 3/8 would probably have worked, but this is the size that General Motors used on the original Vega steering box, so I figured I'd use the same thing. So start each one of the holes, drill it on both sides a little bit. And the reason for drilling it on both sides, number one, this hole saw wouldn't drill all the way through that 3/8 inch metal without drilling it from both sides. And secondly, I'm going to drill that center hole out to tap it to a larger diameter, to that 7/16. And by doing that, you're going to lose your pilot hole, and that hole saw will have a tendency to walk around. So if you start it on both sides, you'll have that groove for the hole saw to ride in, and it won't walk around. Secondly, it gives you the advantage of having some base metal to hold on to drill and tap that, because it would be incredibly hard to hold on to that little small spacer and drill it and tap it otherwise. So go ahead and get it tapped out and completed, and then all you got to do is run your hole saw around there and finish cutting out that spacer, and you've got all the hard work done. So now I've started that hole saw on all three of my spacers on both sides of the metal. Right here's a little better close-up look of the hole saw I'm using. You can see it's pretty shallow, and that's part of the reason I start these holes from both sides to make it all the way through that 3/8 inch metal. Now you can see the advantage of leaving all the spacers attached to the base metal right here, and it gives you all kinds of meat to hold on to with your vise in order to tap that out. So this is how my spacers turned out. Turned out real nice. And I'm going to show you the reason for the spacers. See this hump right here? It sticks out further than the mounting surfaces on these Vega boxes. So that brings it out so that you can mount it on a flat plate. So now what I'm going to do is just thread those on to the bolts. And then I'm going to set the whole thing down on this plate right here and mark out the pattern for the mounting plate. Okay, now that I've got that marked out the way I want it, I'm just going to use a cutoff wheel and a grinder, cut that off, and then we'll position it in the frame, and I'll show you how this is going to mount up. All right, now there's my plate that I just got done cutting out. I was actually able to cut that out with my bandsaw. It had just enough depth to the throat there to allow me to cut that out, and that saved a lot of time as opposed to the grinder and cutoff wheel. So now I'm going to put my box on there with the spacers, line everything up, and tack those spacers on there, and then I'll get started fitting it to the frame. Once I get it the way I want it, I'll pull it back off and finish welding everything up right there. Now I've got my spacers tacked on to the plate, and I'm going to chunk it back in the drill press. I'm going to pass a 25/64 drill bit through there, and then I'm going to tap those threads and continue them right on into the plate because, you know, it just add a little more strength, and anytime you can engineer a little more strength into a part and it don't cost you anything, why not? When in doubt, make it stout. All right, now I've got my mount bolted to the steering box. You can see what that looks like, and you can see that 3/8 of an inch on those spacers was just perfect. So now I'm going to chunk this into the frame and start getting an idea of how high it's going to mount in the frame and where the pitman arm is going to land, and if I'm going to have to get a different kind of pitman arm with less of a angle on it. All right, moving on to fitting the gearbox into the frame. I've just got it kind of temporarily clamped in there right now just to get a preliminary look at it and see what needs to be done right here. So I've run into about 3 obstacles, none of which are big deal. It's just stuff, just hurdles that you have to jump when you're building a hot rod. So number 1, the alternator was mounted right here. I've already removed it partly to get to this to be able to work on it easier, and secondly because it was going to actually hit this. So we'll have to raise the alternator up higher on the engine. Not a big deal, just got to build some brackets for that. So I feel pretty comfortable with that. Number 2, you can see just how low that pitman arm is. It's probably about 4 inches off the ground. And by the time that I bolt a tie rod end onto that, it's going to be super low, and it's going to be actually a hazard as far as running into manhole covers and potholes and stuff like that. So I want to raise that up. I've already ordered this off the internet. This is a straight pitman arm, and it was only about 23 bucks plus shipping. So it was about 30 bucks to my door. Again, not a big, huge deal. I think that will fix that problem. The third thing, and I anticipated this from the beginning, my frame rails are tapered from the grill shell there to the firewall. Most traditional Model Ts have, kind of parallel frame rails. So because mine are tapered, it's got the steering box pitched this way. And I want to square that up in the frame. You can see right here, I've already made a line right there on this motor mount where this shaft needs to line up. This side of that shaft needs to line up with that line. So it's going to have to go that way about 1/2 of an inch. And so when I designed the mount, I anticipated that. Most of these mounts are a whole lot more petite than this one. And this edge right here is tapered from that bolt hole to the lower one. They're not in line with each other. They're staggered. So that edge right there would actually be on an angle. So in order to get this angle correct on my steering box, I made this edge straight, and I'm almost going to use it like a hinge. So what I'm going to do is tack it right there, and then I'll pull this side over here over, exactly line it up with where it needs to be in reference to the steering column and the steering shaft. And then I will measure this gap right here, and I'll have to make some wedged spacers right here to make up that gap. Not a big deal. It's just going to be a little aggravating, but that's no hill for a mountain climber. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and end the video right there. That's the basic Vega steering box mount. It works great for T-buckets and rat rods, anything with parallel frame rails. Mine's going to be angled just a little bit more than parallel, so I'll get more into that next time, along with the cross steer setup that I'm going to use on the BLT, so y'all stay tuned for that. And I just want to take the opportunity to say thank you to all my subscribers. We reached nearly 3,000 subscribers in 2022, and I'd love to double that in 2023. And I know with y'all helping, we can. So if you haven't already, hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe. Turn on notifications if you want to. And I want to wish you a happy, healthy new year. You know, my grandma used to always say, for a good luck in the new year, to find yourself some black-eyed peas and hog's jowl to eat on New Year's Day. And in fact, it was kind of a mandatory situation in our home. So I never did think it was very lucky eating black-eyed peas, but I'll let y'all be the judge of that. So if you want some, I hope you find some. And until next time, y'all get out there and build something.